Generally speaking, people who have done nothing wrong don't ask for immunity in order to testify or to talk to investigators. Our old friend Alex Jones is asking for immunity if he is to discuss his role and knowledge related to the January 6th Trump riots. It is not a good week for Alex Jones. Bankruptcy, but a bankruptcy that may be calculated to try to shield assets from people he's ultimately going to have to pay money to, which lawyers say isn't even going to work. And now Alex Jones wants immunity. New York Times report, Alex Jones reaches out to Justice Department about Trump riot interview. The effort by the Trump ally to get an immunity deal is the latest sign of progress in the investigation, which recently brought on a well-regarded prosecutor. The federal investigation into efforts to overturn the election seems to gain traction. Justice Department has brought in a new prosecutor. Alex Jones, the host of the conspiracy-driven media outlet Infowars and a key player in the pro-Trump Stop the Steal movement, is in discussions about an agreement to detail his role in the rally. Through his lawyer, Jones said he has given the government a formal letter conveying his desire to speak to prosecutors. The lawyer, Norm Pattis, maintained Jones had not engaged in any criminal wrongdoing that day. As a condition of being interviewed, Jones has requested immunity from prosecution. Now, the reason they're giving is he distrusts the government. So we are to believe Alex Jones believes and knows that he did nothing wrong, but he is so distrustful of the government, he thinks if he talks to them, they will find some crime to pin on him anyway. And that's why he wants immunity. While convincing federal prosecutors to grant him immunity could be an uphill climb for Alex Jones, his discussions with the Justice Department suggest that the investigation could be gathering momentum. 2 weeks ago, another prominent Stop the Steal organizer, Ali Alexander, an associate of Jones, revealed he got a subpoena from a grand jury that is seeking information on a broad swath of people, rally planners, members of Congress, others close to Trump, about what happened on that day. This is absolutely fascinating. Now, again, in general, innocent people don't try to get immunity as a condition of speaking to investigators. Alex Jones wants us to believe it's not because he believes he did something wrong. It's because he believes they are going to sandbag him because he doesn't trust the government. Now, I spoke to some investigators about this, and they said, listen, anyone can always say they're going to try to find something to pin on me, but that in general, they genuinely, if they don't think Alex Jones is the top dog, right? You want to use people to get the top dogs. That's the general idea here. That's why would you talk to Alex Jones first and even consider immunity if you thought he was at the top? No, that's the guy you want to take down. So they believe there's people higher up than Jones. If that's the case, you want to genuinely have a goodwill working relationship with the witness because that's how they're going to tell you ideally everything or everything you want to know. So only the most paranoid person would think, even in a cooperation agreement, they're going to try to sandbag me. It just doesn't really make sense. It's not typically how these investigations work. Is it possible that they want to charge Alex Jones? Sure, it's possible. But if they're looking to him as a cooperating witness to get bigger names, they're not going to deceptively sandbag him. They might be upfront and say, we're not ready to give you immunity because we actually do think you might have committed crimes. But let's talk. That's the way things can go that way for sure. But the idea that out of nowhere, they're going to sandbag him with the most serious charges, it's just not to the advantage of investigators if they want to get what they think is the most valuable stuff from Alex Jones. Now, the other side of this is that this all could be a stall tactic. We've also talked about, and we talked about yesterday, that in general, there's lots of people on the periphery of the Justice Department investigation and the January 6th investigation into what happened and who was involved with January 6th. And with a midterm election coming up and with an attorney general in Merrick Garland, who is of questionable conviction when it comes to really prosecuting wrongdoing of higher ups when it comes to the January 6th circumstances, running out the clock and stalling as much as possible isn't a crazy idea. So it is not an illogical strategy for Alex Jones to ask for immunity, even if he knows he's not going to get it, simply as a delaying tactic to say, I am willing, but we've got to figure out immunity first. Also remember that if he has relevant information, immunity might do more good than compelling him to testify, because then he'll do what he already did, which is just plead the Fifth Amendment, which he's constitutionally able to do. There's no question about that. Thinking from a practical investigative perspective, you might end up getting more from giving him immunity than from just compelling him to testify, because we know what him and Eric Trump did. They pled the Fifth hundreds of times. So another not great week for Alex Jones. We will see if he gets immunity. One of our sponsors today is Cheese Butter. I love this stuff. Cheese Butter is a delicious gourmet cheese melt that ingeniously blends 4 indulgent cheeses and aromatically seasoned butter. All the ingredients, the cheese, the butter, the seasonings are sourced for the highest quality. You can really taste that this was made with fresh, simple, high shelf ingredients, nothing artificial. Cheese on bread, right? I mean, come on. And butter on bread. Why wouldn't I love cheese butter? Put it on French bread, sourdough, bagels, English muffin, Jewish rye, pumpernickel, sandwiches, grilled cheese, burgers, baked potatoes, mac and cheese, broccoli, veggies. Cheese Butter is a business that supports the David Pakman Show. Support them. Their product is really fantastic. It's been a secret recipe in their family for 50 years. Taste it for yourself to really understand what it's about. I don't think you'll be sorry. And you'll now get 20% off when you go to cheesebutter.com/Pakman. The link is down below.